So here we are, folks, the last step, and that is the straight skirt. We have a different variety of skirts. We have box skirts, we have ruffle skirts, straight skirts, waterfall skirts. This is going to be a straight skirt with the piping or welting around the whole thing. So what we're going to do is, we measured the other skirt was 8 inches. So to determine, if you don't have the old skirt, to determine skirt height, what you want to do is from the floor, measure to where you want it to finish from the floor. In this case, it was 8 inches, which I happen to agree with. You're going to cut it 8 inches. It actually finishes 7, but then you have to bring it off the floor 1 inch. And the reason you want to do that is to accommodate any carpeting that's going to be put down. Some people put it at 1/2 inch. That would be better on wood floors, but a lot of people have area carpets. You have to consider this. This is what I'm going to do anyhow. So it's going to be 8 inches cut. So as usual, we measure everything out. We have an up and down, side to side. I have a front, we need one of those, 2 sides. We have a back, we need one of those, and we need 4 pockets. So I'll explain each as we go along. So let's measure it. First of all, let me just get my tape measure to measure across the front. So 8 inches is going to be all of our measurements. 8, 8, 8, 8. 8 inches all the way down, right? Those are all of our measurements for each piece. Okay, for the up and down. Side to sides are going to be a little different. So let's measure. We're going to measure from the side to the side, at the corner, from the side to side. I got 53. We're going to add 6 inches to that, and it's going to be 59. Make it 60. We can round it off just to make things a little easier for us. 60 inches. So the reason that doesn't matter too much is because that's going to be the fold down, and we'll see that in a minute. Okay, the sides are going to be from the back leg, the middle of the back leg to the front right here. So I'm going to measure that. The middle of the back leg is 26 plus 6, that's 32. And now I'm going to measure the back. It's going to be from the middle of the back leg to the other middle of the back leg. I bet it's going to be about the same as the front. I suspect. Nope, it's a little smaller. So, well, it's 53. Well, let's do 60 on the back also. We give ourselves about 7 or 8 inches as a extra 60. Now pockets, traditionally, we're going to make our pockets 10 inches wide, okay? 10 inches wide. And then we might as well measure for our welt, which is going to be all the way around. And hopefully I saved my fabric from the last time. I saved that big long piece. Hopefully that's going to be long enough to go all the way around the sofa without seaming. So let's see. I gotta go from this leg all the way to the back, the middle of the back leg, and then I'm gonna, that's 80, and 160, and another 10, 170 inches all the way around. Give ourselves a little bit more, call it 174. Okay, so we have all our measurements. So the next thing we're going to do is go over to the table and start cutting. So let's start cutting our skirt. We're going to measure, I'm going to measure the 60 because we got 2 of those first, the front and the back. So it's going to go right to here. I'm going to just mark that. We're not worried about centering anything, which is kind of nice. Speeds us up a little bit. Make sure your fabric is nice and straight for cutting. Okay, and we're going to go from, we can go from the selvage, it's okay here in this case. I'm going to go 8 and 16, 8, right? Now you notice how this isn't like cutting the other pieces, the big pieces for the body. You have to focus a little bit more on our, we have to be really straight with this, so I'm making these little lines here. So you can connect the dots at home if you're not sure, but what I do is, they actually act as another guide for me as I'm picking up this side stripe. I want to make sure that I get this right at 8 inches. Cut that right across. While I'm cutting, I wanted to talk to you about a new thing we're doing on the channel. We have an apprentice come in. His first day was the other day, and depending on how you guys like it, I might continue that. He's a good guy. He wants to learn upholstery. It's about my age. He's coming in a little late, but you know what? I think for a hobby, he's going to enjoy it. He worked out really good the first day. We had a good banter back and forth too. It was nice. I think he enjoyed himself. But your feedback on that would be appreciated. Okay, let's get this. He's a Boston, a real Boston guy. His name is Jimmy. Jimmy from Boston. Okay, so I got this cut. Just want to show you what I did with the first one. I did that kind of fast and I was talking, so I marked the top of it. I marked the top of it front. We can even say top, just so that there's no confusion. That's important, having it go in the same direction. Just put it over there for now. And then on the back piece, before it leaves the table, we're going to write back, top. We'll put that over here for now, where the back is, right? And then we got our sides. The sides are 32 inches. Here's our yardstick for that. 32 inches. And I'm not going to cut all the way because I think I need that piece for my welting, right? So you always want to try to keep, especially towards the end of your project and you have piping, you want to try to keep the long pieces together. You don't want to straight cut across that. You want to save that. It's a good tip. Because the least amount of seams that you have, the more professional it's going to look. Okay, so this is one side skirt. I'm going to measure that side. Sorry, side. Top. Put that right here on this side. And cut this. Side. Top. Done on the other side just for now. Okay, now let's see if this piping is long enough, if this piece of fabric is long enough for our piping, which we measured. Oh, let's do the pockets first. Pockets. 4 pockets at 10 inches by 8. Okay? So we got 8, 16, 20 inches this way. This way. Just on this one we'll go across just to show you why we're doing that. 10 inches down, there. Those are our 4 pockets. I'm going to put a little X here indicating top, okay? That's just my code, but you can put T up there or top if you want. But we know what these are, they're the pockets. I'm just going to put these right here for now. Okay, now let's measure. The last thing we need to cut on this job is the piping for the skirt. That's it. And we're done with the cut of the fabric at least. We are going to cut lining, which I'll show you that in a minute. Let's just see how long this is. Hopefully this is 174, which would be great. Measure this. Something like that, 174, I'd be really happy. Alright, so we got 135. So we're going to have to piece it. That's okay, because it gives me an opportunity to show you how to do that. So let's just cut this piece first. Okay, we're going to cut. This is very important. When you have to piece any fabric at all, I don't care if it's whatever it is, you need to make sure that the piece that you piece is going in the same direction as the other fabric. And I'll show you what I mean by that in a minute. So I like to say, never let a piece of fabric leave the table until you orientate yourself if you have to piece things like that. And I'm going to demonstrate that in a minute. Go right across here. And cut that. Before this leaves the table, bring the other end up like this. Okay, so I need another 40 inches. Let's call it. Before it leaves the table. Okay. Let's just measure 40 inches. So we were really short on that. That was wishful thinking that we were going to get that whole length. Okay. I'm going to cut this, and I'm going to grab a pin before it leaves the table. I say that because once it leaves the table, there's that doubt in your mind, is the fabric going in the same direction? You'd be surprised how many times, if you don't do this, and you put it in the wrong direction, you might not see it right away. You'll see it when it's on the piece, and at that time there's a lot of damage done. So the fabric's coming this way, right? So it's simply, you take the piece like so it's going in the same direction instead of turning that piece up, okay? So we have our piping. You know what, sometimes I do, I just check it before I sew it just to make sure that our measurement was proper. Go all the way around. And we've got about 10 inches left, which is good. Okay, I'm going to put this over on our table. And then I'm going to show you, we're going to cut our lining now. Okay, this put our fabric aside. Let's get our lining out. Now on the lining, instead of the chalk, you might want to go to a pencil. And the first thing I'm going to have you do, this is just a muslin lining, very simple muslin lining. Let's just cut this. Sometimes when it tears like that, it's nice because it squares up your material right away. So, we are not going to line our pockets, and we'll explain that as we go along. Lining the pocket actually gives you bulk around the corners and not unnecessary bulk. So I don't usually line. I know some people out there will say, oh, you should line his pockets, but especially on a heavy fabric like this, it would just create too much bulk that I wouldn't like. Keep in mind, a pocket at the corners is just simply to cover up the leg, you know, and it's not used for any other. It's not for any other purpose except just to close up the gap that kind of forms at the bottom of the skirt. So let's just show you now. Here's very simple on the lining. All these measurements to the right, all the width measurements apply. The drop though is going to be an inch smaller. It's going to be 7 inches. Okay. All these numbers turn to 7 for your lining. Okay. You'll see that. That's for seam allowance. You'll see that as we sew. So we're going to cut all these. So just reference back to the skirt where we were cutting the skirt. So I'm going to do my side. I'm going to sew my lining on my side first. That's the top of the side. And my lining doesn't have a direction. So it doesn't have any direction at all, front, back, up, or down, so it makes it easy. So what you want to do first is, face to face, you want to sew the bottom of the skirt first, okay? That's what I'm doing on the machine now. And I'm taking a 1/2 inch seam, no more than that. I have it set on 3, which is fine. And I'm going to go right along the bottom of the skirt, face to face. So, you know, your good side up on the fabric. Let's say that, because this doesn't have a face really. But let's just go like all the way down 1/2 inch. And I'm going to show you on this one, and you'll do all the other ones the same. Okay, and if it's a little longer, it doesn't matter, because it's all going to be hidden. Okay, we're going to take this out of the machine. And then I'm going to take the ends, and I'm going to fold the end up so that it's going to create a seamless, there's going to be a seamless seam on the bottom. See? You'll see that after I reverse it. But this gets pulled up. I'll demonstrate that again. I'm going to go slow. Watch this. Just really slow. I'm putting my finger in here to try to enhance what I'm trying to do. I'll show you that in a minute. And then I take a 1/2 inch seam here. All the way down. Give it a little back stitch there. That's one side. The other side you're going to have to go from the top down, which is a little harder, but you want to go even. It's important to get this even up at the top. Okay, and then I'm going to throw that down half an inch. Okay, now I want to show you what we created here. This is our side skirt. So we're going to reverse this now. Poke out, some people take a pin and pin this out, which might be a good idea on this heavy fabric. I'm using my finger right now, but I take a pin later. And look, it's ready to be ironed out. You have to be careful when you iron some fabrics. This fabric has like a backing to it that can melt. So what I want you to do, we will show you how to iron this out because it does need to be ironed out. And I have decided, because the fabric is so thick, that we're not going to put a liner in this. On fabric that's thick, I think sometimes a liner looks worse. Liners usually are used for lighter weight fabrics that don't want to fall. This is a nice fabric. It falls where I want it after I iron it out. It's going to look great. So I'm going to put this aside for now. I'm going to show you on the pockets. This is the top of the pocket right here. I'm not going to line the pocket. As I mentioned before, lining the pocket, we're going to sew the bottom, just like we did. We're going to give it a half of an inch. Actually, I'm thinking about this. That's all you need to do is just, on this particular fabric, just bring it up a half of an inch and sew a seam right across. And then, you know, I'm debating on whether I should seam it down like so. I think that's going to create bulk. So I'm going to leave it just like this. So when you look at it, so it's going to look like right straight across like this. Okay? So it's a judgment call on how thick the fabric is a lot of times with skirts. Okay? So if this was a lightweight skirt, I would be lining the pockets too, because I know that it would be able to take it a little bit better. Heavier fabric though, the more you have in there, that creates bulk. Okay, so that's it. You're going to do your other 3 pockets like this, and you're going to do your other 3 skirt pieces like I did previously with the liner. So okay, so what I'm doing is I've ironed 3 pieces out. I'm going to show you on the 4th piece what I did. So what I'm doing is I'm going to be trying to bring up the edge of the muslin to the top of the skirt. And what that does is create a beautiful seamless edge along here on the bottom, that's what I'm sewing down. Ironing down. And I'll show you this in a minute. So beautiful, you know. This fabric works out so beautifully that it doesn't need the stiffener. I'd rather not use a stiffener if I don't need it. Okay, because it just creates other problems. And sometimes it leaves a little edge up at the top of the skirt. So what I'm going to do, because this has to be fitted onto the love seat, and I'll show you that in a minute. One end you can just flip over and get that iron now. Okay, and I'm going to stop. I hesitate to iron this because I know I don't want to iron this direct, so I need to put a liner before you iron, because I didn't have to do that over here because it's the back side of the fabric, and I was ironing mostly the muslin. Now just see how that looks. Oh, that actually irons very nicely through the muslin, so I'm happy about that. So now we're going to go to the sofa and actually measure, put this up. So I'm lining this up to the edge nicely, and up to this edge, and then I'm going to fold this under it where it is to make sure I'm right at the edge. And I'm going to hold that. You can pin it too if you want, pinning the whole thing along, and then at the end put another pin in there if you like. I'm going to just sew this down. I'm going to iron this down. Grab this piece of fabric. Okay, so we got the front pleats sewn down. Okay, so I'm going to put this back on the front. Lay it on there like that, and then we're going to do our sides. I'm just going to show right on the front here, Patrick. Right. Get that. So we can pleat. We don't have to measure actually the side. One side of each skirt piece can be folded down and ironed. And then the other piece has to be the measured piece. So we're just going to do a quick job there. I'm going to leave this here. I'm going to come right to the corner. and measure to the other side. Nice, and I'm putting this on nice and softly. I'm coming to the middle part of the back leg, okay? Middle part of the back leg, and I have that's where my pleat is, okay? I'm going to iron that down. And then I'm going to do the other two, and then we're going to meet me at the sewing machine. Okay, so this is about our halfway point of the back skirt. We've got our liner on, and we've got our pleats on either end. It's a fitted skirt, fitted straight skirt. So I'm just going to come a little bit further from the halfway point, a little above this way, about 2 inches, and I'm going to start sewing. Okay, and making sure that that muslin is right up even with the fabric. Okay, muslin, and very nice. Okay, and then I got my pleat on the end here. Notice how I tuck in the pleat. I'm getting ready to put the skirt in. I'm tucking the pleat under, lining that up. Looks good. And then I'm putting my pocket, underneath. Okay. See, this is what I mean. See how much bulk there is here already? So if I were to see, I know I'm going to get some comments about this, about lining your pockets. Lining your pockets and creating another seam here, it's just going to create more bulk. You'll see when I put it on how nice it looks. It's going to look nice and streamlined. It's not a cheap way or an easy way for me to do it. It's just, common sense. Problem solving is the number one thing about upholsterers. If you're going to be a good upholsterer, you have to problem solve. So every fabric has many different variables. Every job has different variables. You combine the fabric variables to the job variables, you got it multiplies. So you always have to be on thinking about solving problems as you go. So I'm going to put my needle down right about there, and I'm going to start incorporating my next piece, which is, if you're looking at the sofa, it's the piece on the left side of the sofa as you're looking at the sofa. So I'm going to go grab that quickly, and I'm going to show you how to incorporate those two in. Okay, so I have my side skirt in my hand, I have my two pleats. I'm going to take my pleat and I'm going to lift up the fabric, the welting and I'm going to line my pleat up nicely with the pleat from the back of the skirt. I'm going to tuck it in like so. I'm going to lower my foot like that. I'm going to continue sewing. Okay, and then we're going to sew all the way. We're going to sew the front. I'm going to butt the front into the side, and then the right side into the front, and then I'm going to, the next time you see me sewing, it's going to be how to piece the welting to the outside back, okay? To the skirt back. Okay, so I'm finishing up the right side of the skirt, and I'm coming into the back. I'm come full circle around. You'll have all your pleats lined up and your pockets in place. Okay, so now I have this pocket in place, right? It's my final pocket. So what I need to do now, so I can sew it a little bit further. I stopped sewing just to show you. I'm gonna sew just a little bit more, right about there. We can stop about 1 inch away. Okay, now this is very important. You need to make sure that when you're taking your skirt to meet, that you need to make sure that you're like this, in this position. Okay, in the back, you see in the back, you're folding. The skirt wants to twist around. You want to make sure that you're even, you're coming this way. You want to make sure you untwist your skirt because it wants to twist on you, okay? Okay, so we're coming this way, and then when you get to this point, all the way, find your pocket on the other side, straightening out. See, it wants to twist on you, okay? So you come this way, and then you have to, look, you have to flip this like so. And make sure that you get your pocket, make sure you see where your pocket has been ironed, and then you butt it in like so. Start sewing. Making sure the bottom looks good. I'm not so caring about the top so much as the bottom. Okay, and I'm going to slide right across my piece that we seamed that welting. It's going to just, you won't even see that. Okay, and we're going right along here. Get your skirt straightened out a little bit more. Okay, now I'm going to stop. I'm going to go sew just a little bit more. We have to piece this, okay? To piece this. So I'm going to extend my welting this way about 2 inches. I'm going to cut that off. And I'm going to take out my piping the 2 inches up to meet this piping. Okay. That has to come out. I'm holding my fingers where I want it. It's going to butt in, hopefully. And then we're going to fold this piece over, see that? And then we're going to butt this in like so. Fold this over. You can slow it down. It's a nice thing about YouTube, right? See what I did there. And then hopefully the needle doesn't break. Good. As we're at our limit with this particular juki. I mean, there you go. Beautiful. Okay, so while I'm sitting here, I'm just going to show you. Now, I just noticed that we ran out of bobbin right when we had about 1 inch left. So actually, that's going to be okay. Well, let's just get a bobbin in there to make sure. Let's just get another bobbin. Okay, so I thought I ran out of bobbin that time, but what happened was the top thread broke because when we went through all of this fabric, it couldn't handle it. So let's see if it just handles it. Sometimes you just have to slow it down a little bit. Let's just see if it goes through without breaking. Did you hear that little pop? Oh, that little pop wasn't breaking. It didn't break. So let's just see. Yeah, we have two. We have the bobbin and the top thread, so now we're okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to reverse the skirt. Just to take a look at it to see if all the pieces are there and make sure it's all going in the same direction. And now we're going to walk over to our side. So I have my front lined up. Okay, and I'm going to try to do this by myself. Sometimes it's easier with the helper, but I'm just going to come underneath here like so. Got that one. So I'm going to come down the other leg, and the other leg. And I'm going to try to go to the back and lift it under the back leg. People say, why doesn't he go from the top? Well, the top's a lot wider than the bottom. It's all one piece. The skirt's all one piece by the time you're done. I'm going to lift the back. Get them all. Great. Let's just see how well we did with that stuff, please. Sometimes, and this is the case, it looks so good sometimes you almost think you don't need to put anything in it, like the staples or a hand stitch. But that looks really good. That's coming out good. I'm going to show you how to really measure it out, and then we can iron the rest of it out when it's done. But I'm going to show you how to set this. I'm going to do a plumb line on this to make sure that we're at 1 inch from the floor. I need to bring this side up a little bit. Okay, happy with that so far. It's going to come out nice when we iron it. Okay, so let me show you. Upholstery pins, if you don't have them, kind of nice to have when you're doing this. And what I'm going to do is measure from the floor to where the skirt is, to the bottom of the skirt. I'm going to measure 1 inch. I just noticed that this came undone a little bit, but I'm going to show you how to repair that as you're working. So let's just get this. Funny how that undid. And then we're going to come to this side. We're going to go all the way around at the corners and put it at 1 inch. Okay. Show me this way. Right at the top. We're not in the welt. We're at the top of the welt. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap a twine all the way around this, a plumb line. Again, I didn't pin into the skirt. I'm going to pin to the top of the skirt. I'm going to go all the way around. It should be tight. You might, because you have curves, go back and adjust the plumb line down. It goes great across the front, but on your sides, you have to make sure around curves that the line is where you want it to be. Just measure. Just take another reference point from the bottom of the floor to the skirt. And we're going to tie this off. I'm going to show you how to staple this front down. Next, where my pleats are hitting on the end, I'm going to start in the middle, and I'm going to line up to the top of the welt to the line, to my plumb line, and I'm going to get my first staple in right at the seam. Okay, and then I'm going to go a little further this way, about a foot, and get another staple. Then I'm going to get another staple near the end, and that preps the front on that side, on the left side. I'm going to come to the, get a staple here. Then I'm going to come. Okay, I see that a little bit of the lining has come undone, so what I'm going to do is make sure that I staple my lining down. Okay, sometimes even I can make a mistake, so, but it's okay, it's not too late. You could just staple it down like I did. See how nice that's going to look? Okay, so we're going to do that all the way around, and then we're going to fill in between. After we get our nice staple work in, we're going to just fill in between. So finally we're finished, and very happy with the way the skirt came out. Really is nice. The cushion looks great. The fabric was great to work with. The tufting came out great. So all in all, I think this was a great job, and I'm glad I could present it to you on YouTube. So see you next time. Okay, so we're done with our big project that took many parts on YouTube. Our next project is right underneath this fabric, and it's going to be a little smaller and hopefully a little bit more streamlined. Maybe we'll get it done in 1 or 2 videos. So we'll see you next time.